Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we get some more playoff racing action as it's a brand new round. Welcome to the round of 11. First race on the docket, going to be New Hampshire here this evening. Track that's been tough and tricky for the WSSR Cup Series in the past, and we'll see if they can handle it here to be the first race of the round. Can't wait to give you all the racing action here tonight again on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is Richard Wolsifer. And Richard, from last week at Texas to this week at New Hampshire, one of the bigger swings you could look for, but certainly the action should be ramping up here this evening.
Oh, the biggest swing these drivers are going to see is they're going from a track that's got pretty decent banking in the turns to help these cars get around a little easier to a track that's basically flat. They're going to have a lot of slowdown going into these turns. It's what they like to call a driver's track. It's a lot of driver skill that goes into trying to get around this track. And it's going to be a really loose ride for a lot of these drivers. It's going to be a lot of battling these cars and trying to keep out of other people as well.
This is going to be the fourth time the WSSR Cup Series has ever raced at New Hampshire in the past. Again, this is season 10. They ran back in season 2. They had 14 cautions during that race. Season 6, they had 10 cautions. And last time they ran here back in season 8, 17 cautions. Richard, the caution count, that is way more than what we've really seen this season from the WSSR. But if we have similar counts of 17 like the last time they were here, this could be a long night for all the drivers as well as for us up in the booth.
Yeah, it could definitely turn into a very long and grueling race for a lot of these drivers. I mean, you're talking a race that generally should last about a minute, an hour and 15, an hour and 30 to almost 2 hours at times, even longer, just because those cautions, they don't tick down very fast. It's a very slow pace. It gets the drivers out of their groove also. They might be in a nice rhythm around this track, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there 2-3 cautions back to back. Cautions breed cautions, and it gets these drivers out of their rhythm, and that kind of what sets up for more cautions as the race goes on.
We also have a lot of drivers that are going to be dealing with penalties entering into tonight, as we had a couple of big wrecks that happened last week in Texas. A couple of drivers got docked with ARCA braking. A couple of those being playoff contenders. Some are just new rivalries that are starting to blossom, it looks like. One of those being Danny Cochran. He's going to have an EOL penalty and a drive-through penalty after getting an L2 after last week and being involved in multiple incidences. Thompson Check, he has an end-of-the-line penalty to start tonight. Same for Shane Terrian, end of the line. Zach Hall, end of the line. And also Jarrett Talmadge with a late addition to getting a penalty after an appeal process. The 27 also will start at the end of the line. And new rivalries blossom. Turns out it's inside of teammates campaigns. Jarrett Talmadge, Shane Terrian, both weren't happy with the way that last week's race ended. We'll see how they can attempt to calm things down on a track that's going to be rough to make some big passes. As well, we've got the playoff 11 that are racing for a chance to continue for their hopes to hoist the championship for the season 10 of the WSSR Cup Series. And it all starts with great positioning. Qualifying is where we begin. And looking at the past, Richard, talk about how there's a lot of cautions, but there's one absolute. If you get the pole, you usually lead the most laps and win the race. It's happened all the past 3 times. We'll see if we can go full 4 here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, New Hampshire is definitely going to be a position race over anything for the most part. So, I mean, a lot of these drivers, their goal is to try to qualify as high up in the field. I mean, that's every goal you want in every race you do. But here, it is extremely important. With the passing opportunities very minimal, it's going to be really hard to get around these other drivers that are around you. And it's going to be really hard if you get a mistake and get further back. It's going to be even harder to get through the field because passing is so hard. So try to get up front, stay up front, and you're going to have a good day.
As you can also see on our ticker board, some drivers are going to be marked with red. When the driver has a marked red symbol, that means they are in the playoffs. They are still running for that chance to hoist the championship. So those are going to be our drivers to watch out for here tonight. A big driver, though, one of the fastest all season long, and has been a part of the top 3 of the season. James Scioli is going to be in a must-win scenario here tonight. We were just given a report before we went live That's going to be seeing Scioli in a must-win because he will be missing out on next week's race. That is a shocker to hear. We know that some drivers, it's hard to make it every single race for themselves, but with one of the fastest drivers, if he doesn't move on to the next round, this really opens the door for some drivers to be a dark horse into our championship round.
Yeah, I feel like he's not necessarily in a must-win situation if he has an extremely good race today, but I mean, anything can change. You might have drivers have an extremely great race next week, but that is unfortunate to see one of our top contenders in the playoffs not being able to make it next week. So for all safety's sake, yeah, he's basically in a must-win situation. So we'll see what he can do as we're right along right now with Zach Hall trying to best the top time of Vincent Sora there. Nope, that'll be Zach Hall's second lap. That's my bad.
His second lap going to be good enough to place him around sixth. Currently, we're still going to be seeing some ebb and flows. Half the field still needs to get their time in, as Vincent Sora currently top of the board with a 30.662, almost identical with Chris Stitz, who runs second currently. They're in the 10,000ths of a second battling for that pole award. Here's Drew Jua, though, going to be on his second lap for the 88 machine. First lap places him in 13th and trying to get a good march off the exit of the corner. And Douglas Newbigging with a massive surge for the 7, top of the board by over 1/10. What a lap that 7 found.
Yeah, that is a screamer of a lap for Newbigging. He found some speed here. He might have a good race today. Let's not try to curse him early, but that's a fantastic lap for him. He's going to be feeling great to start the pole if he can maintain that to start here in New Hampshire.
Part-time driver looking for another victory. We'll see what Seth Knoll has in the 57 as he'll be marching his way on the lower end. This is his second lap. This is the money lap for the 57. Will he start in the back or start up front? As we said, the pole sitter is the driver who's led the most laps and won the race all 3 times in the past, but will end up a little bit shy. Douglas Newbigging survives Seth Knoll by 1/100th of a second.
Yeah, fantastic lap by Seth Knoll also, but Douglas still top of the board. A beautiful lap from him. So hopefully he can maintain it as we ride along with Ryan Kelly, who's trying to set his fast lap right now, and he's going to pull out a 30.667, not quite able to get to the top of the board, but that'll put him back in the 5th position. It'll put him 3 rows back. So right along now with Gavin Rogers.
Gavin Rogers didn't put in as much practice time as we've seen in past and other racetracks, but this is going to be a course where it's just ultimately about survival mode for this driver entering into tonight. Top of the board in points, and he will be feeling the most secure if he can have a good stage run and finish inside of our top 10 at the end of this race. But we always know Gavin Rogers is looking for victory lane as he's on currently his first lap. Still searching to see if he can best the time of a 30.552 that Douglas Newbigging put down. Other drivers that are out on track going to be Justin Malarkey hoping for a good time. Ollie Fonseca, Shane Tarian, and Andrew Medlin all are deciding not to put in a time. They will start in the back, but here we go. It's time to see what the 75 has. He's 7th on the board after that first lap for himself. Gavin Rogers needs to find an extra 10th for himself to be top of the board. He'll stay on that second lane, trying to look for a great exit to carry all the momentum for himself. Throttles up off the exit of turn 4. Rogers, will it be pull time or will he be inside of the top 5? Currently 7th and across the line. Not good enough for the pole, but good enough for 3rd. It's Douglas Newbigging with the pole here tonight.
Douglas Newbigging just showing he is here to win this race. And comes out with the pole here at New Hampshire, and a great time by him. But Gavin Rogers he'll be starting right behind him in row 2, though.
An absolute stellar time for Douglas Newbigging, his first pole of the season for that 7 machine, and we'll see if he can carry on the tradition of being the driver that stays up front to get into victory lane. As we enter into our warm-up period, this allows drivers to have a little bit extra time for extra practice before we get to our 150 lap race here this evening, as well as allows us to take a deeper look of how the season's been going so far. We're going to start things off by taking a look at our point standings entering tonight, as we actually will have the cutoff line at going to be at the currently it's our top 11 that are still in the playoffs. Then it's the drivers that are hunting for this tonight and next week If you're in the top 6, you will be finding yourself running for a championship into our championship round. And I know the numbers are always so unique in different leagues. Usually it's 16, 12, 8, and then our final 4. We're going from 16, 11 to the final 6 that will run for the championship. But currently, it's Gavin Rogers top of the board with Scioli, Larry Yingling, John Forbes our top 4. But really, everyone else in the middle, Richard, they all still have a good chance. I feel like everyone that made it to our top 11, they're still all favorites of winning this championship.
Oh, I think every single one of those 11 drivers are favored to win this championship. And with only a 21-point difference from Gavin all the way back to Cedric Hunter, I mean, each race in this round matters. Like, the only way I think any of these drivers can secure their spot in the final round is to score a win. So, and this is going to be a track where it's going to be hard to get that win. And if you're not careful, you can completely ruin your chance for advancing if you cannot keep your car clean and near the front in this race.
Counting tonight, we've got 4 more races left in the schedule, which that's where we'll move on over and see a clear picture of how we got to this point. How did we get to our final 11 drivers? Well, we had the regular season, but the last 2 weeks, it was seeing James Scioli as well as Drew Jua getting into victory lane at Watkins Glen and at Texas. Here tonight, we start New Hampshire. Next week at Las Vegas, we'll conclude this round of 11 before we get to our championship round. Dover, Homestead. These final 4 are going to be some fun races to watch. Everyone expecting to have some very close action next week, some draft package racing. But Richard, with 4 races left, I would say there are some favorites at some tracks, but I still can't decide on who really is that favorite driver for the championship, because these final tracks, it's wide open.
Oh, it's definitely wide open. I mean, we still have, with the 4 races we have 2 tracks that are very much within the driver's hands to mess up or win, and that's New Hampshire and Dover. 2 very decently difficult tracks for these drivers to run, but we also have Las Vegas and Homestead, and we're going to end out on Homestead as well. Those tracks are pretty much your general base intermediate style racing. Las Vegas is going to prove to have a lot of really close racing between all these drivers, and same for Homestead, another long track with progressive banking. So that banking has 3 different degrees of banking throughout that turn, and it's going to be a really wild race to watch at Homestead, and it's good to see a playoff returning back to Miami.
It certainly is. As we move away from our schedule, we'll take a look at our pick'ems of the day. Who are drivers we feel like are drivers to watch out for that potentially could win tonight, or just storyline picks. And I'm going with a driver I feel like we haven't talked a lot about in the playoffs. That's Ryan Kelly. He's always been under the radar, and last couple of seasons, he's been in victory lane a couple of times. This season, still looking to get himself into victory lane for the first time this season. I'm curious if tonight could be the night that the 3 gets back into victory lane. Richard, who do you have as your pick'em for this evening?
Yeah, he's had a fantastic second part of this season and the playoffs. I'm gonna have to go with Vincent Sora. Last week, he got into a situation where him and Scioli got into each other, wrecking each other for that chance to win. So it took both of them out of contention. But Vinny is extremely good at the long runs. He knows how to save the tires. And I think even though this track requires a lot of driver control, I think that might tip the balance in his favor if he can get up front and stay there.
And our third member of our group, going to be our producer here tonight, of Robert Moyer Jr. He's going to go with the 13 of Cedric Hunter. That's an interesting pick. I'm curious on what we'll see from that pink Hello Kitty machine here this evening, as those will be our 3 pick'ems: Ryan Kelly, Vincent Sora, and Cedric Hunter. Tonight, again, is the start of the round of 11, our second official round of the playoffs, as we are racing here at New Hampshire for the WSSR Cup Series. Thank you for joining with us on your Wednesday evening. Again, for myself, Sam Dyer, I have Richard Wolsifer with me and Robert Moyer Jr. running production in the background. We are so thankful for having you and some of our amazing sponsors, GTR Simulators, Trophy Smack, being the primary sponsors for the WSSR Cup Series for Season 10. As the round of 11 is about to start, let's see where drivers will begin here tonight. Grabbing his first pole this season, and he needs to have a good run here tonight to carry some momentum to the future round. Douglas Newbigging trying to start on the right foot. The 7 will be that first driver with the pole. To his outside is going to be Seth Knoll returning. He's been a part-time driver this season, but fast at every track he shows up to. We'll see how that 57, excuse me, runs here tonight. Send the 75 machine in third is Gavin Rogers, with Vincent Sora in fourth. Chris Stitz tying in pace with Vincent Sora will be in fifth position, with Ryan Kelly in sixth. Larry Yingling, a past winner of this race back in season 6. We'll see how well he can climb through the field, starting in seventh. In the 16 machine, starting eighth, we find Joshua Kanata, and finishing out our last two drivers of the top 10, it's Tom Sinchek and the 25 of Cody Reed.
Starting in 11th place is going to be the #1 Trophy Smack car of Zachary Hall. And just outside of him, James Scioli's second place in points right now will be starting in the 12th place. Drew Jua, teammate for Lucky Duck, starting in 13th, and Brian McCann in the #8 machine, starting just outside him in 14th place. Nick Crawford will be rolling out 15th, and the outside of him, John Forbes Jr. back in 16th. Samuel S. Garcia, who's been having a phenomenal second half of the season, starting in the 17th position, with Brian Noel starting in 18th. Going to be the last two of the top 20. Jarrett Talmadge starting 19th, who I do believe will have a penalty to start this race off, and Ross Tatum rounding out the top 20.
Starting deep in the field, but we'll see how well he can climb through it. Starting 21st is the 13 of Cedric Hunter. In 22nd position, we see the 10 of Ryan Ferraro. In 23rd, it's the 15 of Ken Campbell. Justin Malarkey will be in 24th, and in 25th, it's the 5 of Dakota Moniz. Brandon Colley will be down in 26th. That's 78 machine, and 98 machine right behind them. It's going to be Ben Kinney in 27th, 28th Shane Terrian, Ollie Fonseca in 29th, and finishing out our 30 drivers this evening, it's Andrew Medlin. A few of those drivers deciding not to put in a qualifying time, so they'll start in the back. But tonight's race, let's take a look at our pre-race and see what we have for this evening, as a little bit over a mile in distance is the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We've got 4 corners as these drivers here tonight get ready for a midday race. It's 1:02 p.m. sim time. That air temperature at 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind not very aggressive this evening, as it is staying close, that lower end. But tonight's race is going to be 150 laps, stage break at the end of lap 35, no fast repairs, and 4 extra sets of tires in pit road here tonight. Again, thank you to GTR Simulators, TrophySmack.com, and for camera packages and our Biggest Mover Award. We want to thank you to our newest sponsor, Whiplash Sim Cams, for joining with us here on the Freaky Fast Broadcasting crew. As the drivers get ready, it's time for racing action. It's going to be Douglas Newbigging up front with the pole award, first time this season. We'll see how well he can hold on to this position, but to his outside, fast at every track he shows up with. Seth Knoll trying to keep up with the competition as we are green. Gavin Rogers giving the bump on the inside, already putting the pressure. Thinking about 3 wide, backs out of it, but Douglas Newbigging, be careful, the 7 almost giving up the lead immediately as they exit out of 2. Hold your breath, it's Douglas Newbigging spinning out for a second. He holds on, but loses the lead.
Oh, Douglas Newbigging just getting a little loose there out of the turn, is going to give up 5-6 positions from the pole spot, giving Seth Noel the lead now. So an unfortunate mistake from Douglas Newbigging, who looked very promising with that amazing qualifying lap. He's going to have a hill to climb now to get back up into the lead.
And with that mistake, he's now trying some very aggressive moves on the inside, thinking about the apron. Gavin Rogers also being hurt by that slip up. He had to back out of that corner and losing 2 positions to Knoll and Sora. As the top 3 going to be single file out, basically our top 4-5 drivers. It's down to where we find the 7, Douglas Newbigging in 7th, where drivers are side by side and trying to make big moves immediately as they can. As Seth Knoll, will he keep this top position as Vincent Sora just on lap 2 completed, fastest lap given to the 51. But Richard, with the way this track is, you might not want the fastest lap this early on with the way these tires work if we stay green.
Yeah, you're definitely going to burn up those tires really quick if you're putting down heater after heater. So, but Vincent Sora, a quick lap to start off the race isn't necessarily a bad thing. So, but a great lap by him. And as you notice, a lot of the drivers are kind of sticking around that second lane of the turns, because that first lane is about as flat as the apron. We have a little bit of a different banking difference between the first and second lanes. So a lot of drivers try to stay away from that first lane, because when you get down on the little flat surface, it does want to upset the car and you get a little loose.
Yeah, those flat surfaces not kind, as the banking progressive here, as Gavin Rogers poking those to the inside of the set 57, trying to make this pass and get back on the throttle as aggressively as he can, but not able to really show any signs. The outer groove, just too much momentum to carry forward. But each corner, 2 to 7 degrees of banking. The straightaway at 1 degree. I mean, you talk about it, Richard, it's basically flat, but just a little bit of help these vehicles love to have. As yellow flag is out, trouble in the back. And it's also going to be the 7 of Douglas Newbegin spinning again.
Oh, Douglas Newbing, the yellow came out, and then he just got loose again out of 2. That's going to be his trouble marker, it seems like. But we'll have to see what happened in the back of the field to bring out this caution, as we have an early caution to start this race off at lap 5.
Looking back at it, I believe it's going to be where we find the 00 of Brian Noel going to be spun around. Currently 27th on the board, but he was going into turn number 1. Went with a little overzealous move that did not work out. Spins out in front of the field, and multiple drivers will be collected. It will be in turns 1 and 2, so we're going to see the prep here. But Richard, I want your thoughts on this incident, because some people like going for aggressive moves. I think this might have been just a little bit too much for the 00.
Yeah, he's going really aggressive, getting all the way down to the apron, which we saw Douglas Newbegin do, but he just washed up and got into the 21 there. So just a minor mistake. You got to, and then Justin Malarkey coming in and hitting the nose of him also. It could have been very clean, but unfortunate hit there by Justin Malarkey. But a very, very aggressive move by Noel there, and it just, car washed up, didn't have the grip, and just got into another car and got him around.
So here's going to be Justin Malarkey's point of view from riding above, as the 73 sees the drivers throwing it down to the inside. He's picked his lane. It is so hard to really change where you're going on track with the smoke visibility also blocking his vision. Just no way to know where that driver would be. And as they go around, also the 7 of Douglas Newbegin also went for his little bit of a spill. He didn't collect anyone else, but Douglas Newbegin will fall all the way down to 22nd position. As a couple of drivers into pit road to get service done. Shane Terry and Brian Noel, Andrew Medlin, and Justin Malarkey all going to get service done for themselves. Vincent Sora did, though, have the nose ahead lead position to the 51, as Seth Knoll will be in 2nd place now for this restart. And that is a big pass for Vincent Sora with the timing of that yellow as they were going back and forth between the 57 and the 51. Vincent Sora, he'll take that advantage with this upcoming restart.
Oh yeah, that is an advantage you definitely wanted a track like here, because he's going to be able to control the restart. He's going to get the jump when he wants it, and he's going to be able to clear Seth Noel really easily into turn 1, unless Seth has a really good reaction to match him on the restart. But he definitely has the advantage, and if Gavin can get it right up on his bumper, he could even get side by side with Seth and challenge him for the 2nd place as well.
As pace car lights are off, we're going this time by, as the drivers get prepared for this launch. Again, a little bit over a mile in distance is this New Hampshire, as well as commenting in the chat by Gage. New Hampshire did get a slight update of looking at the different updates on sponsors, the ways that they've updated the walls. It's great to see iRacing giving small updates to tracks that have been the same for quite a few years. It's always nice to see a shiny new course, even though it gives a similar feel every time you're at these courses. As Vincent Sora, Seth Knoll going to be prepared for the restart zone. 51 hits the loud pedal and is already clear and gone. Gavin Rogers with an opportunity to battle for 2nd place down into turn number 1. Here we go, Richard, once again. We'll see how these a little bit of more worn-in tires like the exit turn 2.
Yeah, the tires were able to cool off a little bit there also, but they're still pretty hot. But Gavin Rogers able to clear Seth Noel, so that'll take 2nd place away from him. So Vincent Sora just shot out of a cannon for that restart, and Gavin was able to follow suit. So they take 1-2 right now to lead this race.
Into 51.75. We also have an update of some drivers deeper in the field that were caught up in that most recent incident. Justin Malarkey has pulled it into pit road and called it a day, but incident up front though. He spun around, looked like it was Joshua Kanata. Yellow flag is out as the drivers scatter off the exit of turn 2. But it was a little bit of a log jam through 1 and 2, and it just continued to ripple off the exit of the corner. And couple of drivers gonna be setting up for this next restart a little bit further on back than they would like.
Yeah, definitely not a restart they're wanting to happen, but it's just a little light spin is what caused this caution. Joshua Kanata, that wasn't Joshua Kanata, my bad. It was the 74 of Crawford there. I think he got involved in a
It was
little
both.
bit. Yeah,
It was
oh, it was
Kanata.
Kanata and
Yeah,
Crawford just got into the quarter panel there. That's going to happen with different braking zones in the middle of the turns also.
trying to throttle up. I know also you saw a little bit of contact from the 77 Ascioli as he was trying to march his way forward, but right on board with what Nick Crawford was feeling as he saw Kanata ahead, just throttled up. Didn't expect the 16 not to go, and also I think Scioli felt the same way as Crawford of, all right, we're at the apex of the corner. Let's get going with the exit, with getting on the throttle.
Yeah, I've had experiences like that before. You expect the driver to get on the gas when you're past the apex and ready to get that run off the turn, and the driver in front of you just doesn't go, and you just drive into their quarter panel, and that's what causes situations like that. So doesn't look like it's major damage by a lot of those drivers, so they should be able to get in, get some new tires, or even get the little bit of damage they have repaired, and their day is still not over, and they can still get up through this field to get as many points as they possibly can.
Again, we do have the stage break at the end of lap 35, and with each caution, that takes away 3 to 4 laps that you could be running green. And I'm curious for your thoughts on this one, Richard, because if we look outside of the top 10, we got a couple of drivers that are looking for, a good run, good points day for themselves if possible, but you need to figure out how to get inside of the top 10. James Scioli runs 14th. You look even further on back, Zach Hall only able to climb up to 21st currently on track. They've got a lot of work if they want to get back up there up front.
And they definitely do, but Zach Hall is within the top 6 right now, currently in the points. But I think 2 drivers that really have to worry about how they're running for the stage. One is Nick Crawford, who just got into that accident we just saw. He is tied with Cedric Hunter for that last the very end of the points there for the playoffs. So they've got a lot to worry about. Every point matters for them. So trying to get even one stage point can help out a ton. As we see Cedric Hunter, who is up 11 positions right now, and he's currently in the 10th and final spot for the stage.
Looking for a chance. Get every point possible that you can grab here tonight as the field is about to get ready and rolling here this evening. It's still going to be Vincent Sora, the control vehicle. We're going to have a new driver to his outside, Gavin Rogers. How well can Rogers time this restart? Because it seems like third place is the better position to be on guessing on when the leader's going to take off. He can get a better launch than the driver on the outside. See if it's going to be Seth Noel or it's going to be Gavin Rogers keeping that second place position as the pace car pulls off. We're back to green flag racing. A little bit of wiggle and a slide, but it doesn't hurt Vincent Sora too bad. Actually assists him. He's clear. Noel's clear. Rogers falls to third place.
Yeah, that is the benefit of also being third place on the restart, is you have a very clear shot of that leader when they take off versus, having to see off your peripheral vision on your screen there. But Gavin Rogers is not giving it up easily as he's getting ready to pass Seth Noel on the outside. He is challenging him to keep that second position, and they're doing a great job. Gavin not quite able to clear him yet, but he might have the run down out of turn 4 down the front stretch.
Seeing drivers trying to rip off the exit of the corner. How well can you set up a pass? Gavin Rogers almost able to pounce to the inside. Instead, will just linger in the tire tracks. Now he'll throttle up side by side with Vincent Sora off the exit of the corner. Battle for the lead is underway as going to be seen that little bit of a quarter panel on the 15. They'll stay side by side into turn number 3. Sora keeps the nose up front, and it's working for Rogers at this current time. As he gets into the throttle quicker, he'll keep the nose ahead. Lap lead looks to be going to the 75, and it will. Rogers leads that lap.
Rogers leads that lap, and he gets a point for leading a lap, so great work by him, and he's still going to continue to challenge as he makes the pass around Vincent Sora, but can he clear him out of the turn? He will, gets up in front of Vinny, and he will be now the definite leader of this race. But did that cost him tire and resources to do so? And will those tires be able to hold up longer than that of Vincent Sora, or will Vinny be able to surge back a little later in this stage run?
Well, trying to figure out where to go with 57. He stays in line. Sora now going to give another chance to dive down low. Noel throws it all the way down that white line. So we're seeing different drivers' aggression levels on where they want to pounce to get advantages on entry, advantages off the exit. The outside lane looks to be the better spot as, oh no, off the nose of the 7, and Ross Tatum with the big contact as the 21 Massive blow to the inside wall, and that will bring out another yellow here tonight.
Oh man, that was a massive hit for the 21 of Ross Tatum, and that was a really odd wreck, it seemed like, because they were both near the bottom of the track when Ross Tatum spun off the nose of Newbigging. So as we watched a replay here going into turn one, see what got him side by side, Douglas taking the apron like he's normally done, and Ross Tatum kind of in traffic right now, so he gets slowed down. Come off the turn. Oh, Ross Tatum just gets loose and down into Newbigging's nose. So unfortunate for Ross Tatum, and that might potentially be the end of his race if he's got too much damage.
And it looks like it will be. Tatum has officially left the server. He looks to be done here this evening, and just chasing the car down low, and a little snap of the throttle. I mean, the exit of the corner is so tough, and you saw just a minuscule little bit of a fault of trying to catch the vehicle. And if Douglas Newbigging wasn't there, I think Tatum would have been fine. He caught the car, but with having a vehicle to your inside, there is always a chance of issues blossoming up. As it's been a quick thrill so far, a quick couple of cautions. But Richard, I mean, this is kind of what we expected entering tonight. This was going to be an evening of drivers have to make bold moves, and bold moves can sometimes bring out big risks. And we're seeing those risks kind of falling apart at times for some drivers.
Yeah, the tires are starting to get a little bit worn on the drivers. Not terribly, but we're starting to see it. They're getting a little snappy and a little loose coming out of the turns. And that's just New Hampshire for you. These cars are going decently fast. That's basically a really long Martinsville. So coming out of those turns, those cars like to get a little twitchy, and you got to be really good with that throttle control. That's what helps saves these cars over steering input, is being able to throttle control and get that car back under control. But unfortunate for Ross Tatum, getting loose out of the turn across Newbigging's nose and into the inside wall. And yeah, just not necessarily an aggressive move for him. He was just kind of driving and sticking in traffic. Just an unfortunate loss of control for his car.
Is waiting for those lights to turn off. As they do, that gives the indication we've got one to go here tonight. Before we go back to Green Flag Racing, I want to also say thank you to our major sponsors again for the WSSR Cup Series. As one of the major sponsors being GTR Simulators, go on over to gtrsimulators.com. If you're looking to have an experience like a pro level racing setup from home, go to gtrsimulators.com today. And when purchasing your items, remember to use the promo code WSSR for 10% off. Again, experience pro level racing from home with their GTA Compact V2 Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber today. Head on over to gtrsimulators.com. Thanks so much to GTR Simulators, also Trophy Smack. We'll give Trophy Smack another shout out later on as the drivers are set, ready to go. We are, again, this is the first race of the round of 11. And these drivers need some critical runs to get some great finishes for themselves. Green flag is out. Rogers to the inside and take off and go. The 75 is clear. It's side-by-side battling for second place on back.
And just like the leader does, just shot out of a cannon, got a great restart as the drivers behind him, they're side by side. They're going to battle for second place like Gavin did the last restart, but this gives Gavin a little bit of a gap from them as the 57 dives all the way to the apron. We've been seeing that move a lot. Washes up, almost gets into Vinny, but they stay out of each other, and they're still side by side coming out of 4 and getting ready to cross the line.
Across the line, and a great launch for the 51, but again, you have a driver right in front of you have to back out for. That's Gavin Rogers, so Sentinel taking advantage of that little bit of an earlier checkup moment, and he will set up for third place. Middle of the pack, though, some drivers that are making some big moves. You got James Scioli up to 11th, as well, seeing the lights of the 7, and Douglas Newbigging, even with his mistakes and errors at times, that 7 is relentless. He continues to run the same lane over and over again, and you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Fastest lap goes to the 57, but Douglas Newbigging not afraid, and I'm loving this from the 7, even with the other great battles above him, as Garcia, Campbell, little bit of door banging off the exit of the corner, and they stay side by side, but trouble ahead of them. It's Chris Stinson to the inside wall. As we stay green, there's the puff of smoke. They're both stacked 4 wide through 3 and 4. Campbell, also Forbes, Garcia, Newbigging, they finally are going to get stacked to 2 to 3 wide. But woohoo, are they getting mixy in the middle of the field, just outside of our top 10.
This track might be really wide, but 4 wide is still not recommended on these flat turns. But these drivers, you can tell the skill level between them all. They were able to hold it clean, and they are still 3 wide. Douglas Newbigging extremely aggressive in this stage for a non-playoff driver. I mean, when you have the pole, you've got the speed, and he is still showing it as he is charging up through the field.
As he's been keeping kind of Ken Campbell to his outside. They just keep pushing forward. Now John Forbes gets pinched. He has to back off early. And the 11 will just stay stable in 12 as Douglas Newbigging from the lead back to about around 24th position. Now he's back up to 10th as he continues his march forward. Other drivers that are trying to make some big moves as we look back from the 7. John Forbes, he wants to get these positions back. The 11 recognizing these points. He needs to get every single point possible to continue on his surge to go for a chance for this championship. Also, other drivers inside of our top 10. Here's Cody Reed, Larry Yangling. Cody Reed with a great run here tonight.
Yeah, Cody Reed is doing really well tonight. I had a chance to talk to him before the race, and he's a little bummed that he got eliminated from the playoffs, but he's still in high spirits. He's out here to have some fun. Doesn't have the stress of worrying about the playoffs now, and it gets a little wide there and almost up into the wall, but still a great run from Cody Reed so far here at New Hampshire.
Also, I went back and took a look at what happened to Chris Stitz as he was battling around that 6th place position. The 17 did a similar action to Ross Tatum, snapped loose, overcorrected slightly, got into the 13, into the outside wall, and then ultimately spun out into the inside wall. Didn't collect too much damage out of this race. Still in the lead lap, just back in 26th position for the 17. Other drivers that we keep an eye out on, here's Jared Talmadge, who had to start at the end of the line, qualified 19th, but had an EOL penalty to start the night off, and reason why, took out his teammate who's directly in front of him in the 9 machine to Shane Terrian as Nick Crawford gets a little bit wiggly as the 74 losing a position in the 9 and almost to the 27, but Talmadge, Terrian, curious if they got any of their woes out of their system with a week between last week's end of the race incident to tonight.
Yeah, that is a very interesting situation that happened last week at Texas. I mean, Shane Terrian just threw a block. It was the last lap. He was just trying to keep whatever position he could, and it ran Talmadge all the way down to the apron, and Talmadge just came up and wrecked both of them, basically, and their teammates. So a very interesting rivalry, I guess you were talking about earlier, between teammates. So it's going to be interesting to see how they treat each other tonight, if Shane's going to give him any room, or what Jared Talmadge might do after, later.
As the field's starting to single file out, the only problem, we're inching closer and closer to the end of the stage. Stage break at the end of lap 35. Top 10 drivers get bonus points. If you're in first, you get 10 bonus points. Second gets 9. Third gets 8. Continues to dwindle down until 10th place gets just 1 point for themselves. And everyone else taking a gentle approach to that second curve. Douglas Newbigging continuing to just ship it to the apron. I love when I see different people use unique styles at these shorter courses or flat tracks, because it is just so unique to see how different drivers can find that extra little bit of pace.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, I mean, this is a track you would expect it to be kind of a one-lane race, but each and every single one of these drivers are finding their own lane to kind of get around this track as fast as they can. So what's really going to be interesting is watching the longer runs when we get to them to see whose tires are actually going to last with the lines that they're running. But it's really awesome to see different lanes for different drivers, and everyone's still making moves and making it work here at New Hampshire.
Certainly are making it work. Top 3, I should say, our top 2 starting to pull away. Battling going on for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Starting to rage a little bit more as Ryan Kelly slotted himself into 3rd place. Vincent Sora falls to 4th. It's Newbigging over the radio, making a few comments of how will they be able to get by and move forward as they continue to stay in line. It's Gavin Rogers still keeping the point. Noel trying to find any way to get around as Sora doesn't want to just sit in 4th. He'll take that 3rd place position back, but crossover move setting up potential chance for the 3. As they exit at turn number 4, Kelly continues the battle back and forth, and the driver waiting in the wings of Douglas, Drew Jewett, excuse me. Gotta say, he must be loving this action, just seeing these drivers ahead of him, swapping back and forth, and this could be good signs of what to see later on in this race to take advantage of drivers going for some big passes.
Yeah, Giorgio is definitely having a race that he was not expecting right now. He was not expecting to run in the top 10, and here he is in the top 5 and even potentially passing for more positions. So he's put himself in a great position to have a great stage so far. And
Oh
even
no!
potentially,
Troubles, caution! Wreck in turn. Oh no! Huge, more collisions piling in the middle of 3 and 4. Douglas Newbigging doesn't hold the brake, lets the car drift up and then back down, collecting 2 drivers with them. The frustration might have mounted a little bit too high, as we're going to see here on the replay. Douglas Newbigging seeing his teammate of James Scioli given a chance for a pass, attempting to go 3 wide. This late in the race, though, going that low, risking it all. The rear end just goes around, but here's the mistake. He lets the car drift up into Ken Campbell, then throttles up right into Brendan Colley. And major mistake for a driver that just is having a snowball type of a night. It's just growing bigger and bigger in these issues.
Yeah, the pole setter fall all the way back, in the field. He has been making moves to get back up, but that's probably just a factor of the lane he's been choosing to run the apron this entire race. The tires have just left him, but he pushed up, almost got into his teammate, decided to spin himself out and just kind of let the car roll and got into the traffic, and then just not waiting for everyone to get around him and pulls back down into Brendan Colley. So not a smart move by Douglas Newbigging. He's got a lot of damage and a few other cars with a lot of damage. Unfortunate situation to see at the end of this stage.
And that will count as the stage, as the drivers are exiting out of pit road. Brendan Colley will stay out, lead a lap for himself. Jared Talmadge can top off with fuel and get back out there on track. 4 tires in fuel from our previous caution is Joshua Kanata, Seth Knoll, as well as Gavin Rogers. Vincent Sorrell will be 4th, 5th, and 6th. For us up the booth, though, we are going to step away for a quick commercial break, as these drivers have given us quite a show. The madness is starting to ramp up, but can we get into the long green flag run? We will find out and see, as you are watching the WSSR Cup Series. Tonight's race, the first race of the round of 11 at New Hampshire. We'll be back with some more racing action right after this. are back. Thank you so much to everyone waiting on our patience, being patient with us as we were getting some technical issues figured out in the background. As one driver, though, spinning around, it's James Scioli, stays on the outside. No yellow is thrown, and it's the 77 who needed a good day. And that's not the way you continue on. No more stage break racing. We can stay green to the end. We got a couple of weird scenarios happening right now. Brandon Colley in the 78 did not pit under our stage break. Jared Talmadge is on 31 lap old tires for himself. Joshua Kanata is on 24 lap old tires. Everyone else on 8. As we've seen the different mixes and battles, it's Seth Noel top of the board currently with Gavin Rogers going to be second, Vincent Sora third. But I gotta say, Richard, this is a bizarre end of the stage with that stage caution to where we are now. The scenarios are starting to balloon out a little bit too much.
Yeah, between that incident that happened and the different strategies of, a lot of drivers not deciding to pit was very strange. Brandon Colley not pitting at all and putting himself in front of a lot of the fast drivers, and they all had to shuffle around to get around him, and that kind of opened up a big lead for Seth Noel as he's leading by 1.4 seconds over Gavin Rogers. So I think that kind of had something to do with that, but Seth has a fantastic lead right now and is still growing, but who knows? The drivers, Gavin Rogers then, might be saving their tires for a longer run than what Seth might be doing.
And Seth Noel, again, one of those drivers that's running part-time this season, joined in halfway through, and every race he showed up for, he was a competitor to win that race, and he'll continue to be a threat here tonight to maybe steal an opportunity for one of these playoff drivers to lock themselves into that round of 6, the championship round. As tonight here at New Hampshire, next week at Las Vegas, it'll be the only 2 races in the round of 11, so you have to be picture perfect tonight and next week to be having a chance to hoist the season 10 championship. But right on board with Larry Yingling, a driver who has won multiple championships in this series, the 3-time champ, trying to find a way to get back into championship form as he entered this round 3rd in points, just 13 points off of Gavin Rogers, with a good bonus point difference between himself and the battle for 6th. Trying to continue on with some good pace here tonight is the 67. The only issue, he's down at 16. Richard, that's the middle of the pack. This is not where you want to be if you're Yingling or Zach Hall.
No, the middle of the pack is generally where a lot of the issues kind of form, because you got the drivers in front of you that are driving really close and tight driving, and that's where the cars are close and they can get to a wreck and cause a bigger wreck, and you got to try to dodge more than just one car. So not a position that Zach Hall or Larry Yingling want to be in, but right now they're just kind of driving safe. It looks like they're only going to make passes when they deem it's safe and necessary, as Zach Hall making the outside of Alan Gonseca right now, and he's going to pass him pretty cleanly here on the front stretch and get clear before turn 1.
Get clear from the 24. Another driver that's part of the playoffs that's in this cluster was Nick Crawford, who runs back in 17th, as everyone searching for speed. But it's the battle for 9th place, where really the action was getting hot and heavy for a quick moment. Brian McCann able to sneak his way through, as Jared Talmadge as well as Tom Sinchak were side by side. They were 3 wide going into turn 3, and the 2 biggest battles happening are just in this pack of drivers trying to find when they feel it's necessary to go 2 wide, 3 wide, and some even attempting 4 wide, as Shane Terrian will take advantage of those older tires on the 27 SpongeBob machine.
Yeah, taking advantage of the tires and everything. But these drivers, I mean, Zach Hall and Larry Yingling are methodically making their way through the field as they both got around Ali Fonseca. Now their eyes are set on Joshua Kanata. Zach Hall gets really close, almost gave him the bumper a little bit. But they're doing a really good job just picking the cars off one by one and making their way up to the front where they really want to be. But we still have over 100 laps of racing left in this race. So they still have to make a pit stop for fuel, and then tires also will go away as well. So we'll see who can save the tires. Moses Kanata gets a little loose and into the wall. Zach gets into him a little bit, but they both seem to keep it straight and keep going. And that'll be a good pass for Zach if he can get around Joshua Kanata.
Like trying to give a good clean bump on the straightaway. That just a weird wiggle and a smack in the 16, hitting the outside wall. Hall continues on forward. Yingling follows in suit, and again, Joshua Kanata on some older tires than the rest of the field. He's on 32 lap old tires, while the rest of the field is on 16 lap old tires. And It might be just a small margin on the number count, but it's massive when you account it to that's 16, about 16 more lap miles that you put on these tires compared to your other competition.
Yeah, I mean, when you get those tires really hot, especially when you get a little wiggle like that, or you get loose, it burns those tires up really quick. So for the next couple of laps, you kind of want to take it even easier. Yeah, you're going to give up position, but it's better than spinning that car out because those tires are really hot, really slick, and they just want to spin your car around. So sometimes it's better to give up those 2 or 3 extra positions and save the rest of your race by not getting yourself into a wreck. So let Josh Ogata's got to let these tires cool off, make him a little bit happy, and then he can probably start moving back forward.
To have reports of more drivers calling it a day. We already knew about Justin Malarkey and Ross Tatum. They were the first 2 drivers really call it a night. Ken Campbell being involved in our stage break caution, that incident between Douglas Newbig and Campbell and Brandon Colley. The 15 continues to sit in pit road for over 10 minutes. He actually has just gotten back out on track and got by Douglas Newbig, who called it an evening as we were just going back to green flag racing. Ryan Ferraro has just pulled into pit road and called it a night. So we are left with just 24 drivers out on track, 24 drivers on the lead lap, I should say, with about 26 drivers total on track, with Brian Noel and Ken Campbell both multiple laps down, but on track trying to just survive and get any positions possible.
Yeah, it's good to see drivers like Ken Campbell, even though he's 18 laps down, back out on track and just putting laps down. You can't beat seat time when it comes to iRacing. So the more time you can get on the track, the more experience you can get, and that's future practice for future races. So he's out there going to learn the track, going to learn how to control these cars better on a flat, long surface, and it's great to see when drivers get out there and do that instead of just calling it a night.
As one driver of note, looking back at some of the drivers that got stage bonus points, one driver announcing that he got his first ever stage bonus points of the season. It's the 25 of Cody Reed, who fights off and gets by the 3 of Ryan Kelly. Cody Reed, what a run he's having here tonight. I know one of his favorite tracks on iRacing is Gateway, and I know they're both similarly in flatter courses. And right now we're seeing Cody Reed. He is really showing out here tonight with a great run here at New Hampshire.
Yeah, he is doing a fantastic job tonight. And if one of his favorite tracks is Gateway, I mean, New Hampshire is a very similar track. Just both turns are the exact same versus Gateway's different turns. So doing a great job, a little high in that turn, but he is having one heck of a race right now, and he's just out here to kind of have some fun. He was eliminated last week, and yeah, congrats on him getting his first stage point for the season. And I know he's been really close in quite a few of the races, finishing 11th or just a few positions back of that at the stages. So congrats to him on getting his first stage point for season 10.
It's been a great run for himself. Another driver heading into pit road for extensive time. Samuel Garcia now into pit road. He's been in pit road for over a minute, as he is currently 2 laps down. We do not know the reasoning on why he's in pit road, but I'm assuming it could be from that right side damage that the 50 grabbed for himself. Moving back up to the battling inside of our top 15. This is for 14th position. It's the 24 of Ali Fonseca and the 74 of Nick Crawford. These drivers wheel and deal back and forth on our Monday night series that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting and the ISRC Truck Series, and seeing them going back and forth, not in the trucks, but in the cup cars, as Ollie tries to hold strong on the outside. Crawford, though, able to get on the brakes, almost using the 24 to get around the corner.
Yeah, they got really close there to getting door to door, but Nick Crawford doing a great job keeping that car woed down and in his lane properly. And this is just great side-by-side racing by these two. I mean, if you want to see these two race more, tune in on Monday nights for the ISRC Truck Series as well. But these two putting on a show here as they're racing side-by-side still here tonight.
Continue to duel. It's Ollie who keeps the nose ahead on entry. Nick Crawford wants to make this pass happen as quickly as possible. Behind them, James Scioli, who we saw get in the wall earlier in this run, he's now climbed back to 16th position. With, I mean, grabbing any type of damage is never fun, but at least here in New Hampshire, you can rebound, I would say, Richard, pretty well, even if you grab a little bit of cosmetic damage here tonight.
Yeah, you can rebound a little bit. The only big difference you're going to have when you get a little bit aero damage here is your handling in the turns. The car will want to push versus actually control, steer itself. So That is the biggest downside, I think, when it comes to aero damage. Of course, your best bet is, hoping a caution comes out and you can get the rest of that damage repaired. But he's still doing a great job getting a great recovery run for himself and trying to make his way back up through the field, especially with him not being able to show up next week.
Yeah, I mean, trying his best to salvage whatever he can and hope that mistakes maybe happen for themselves, as the 0-0 behind Dakota Moniz having a little bit of a slide. That's Brian Noel 7 laps down, but Dakota Moniz having a good run for the 5 machine. If you want to see Dakota's point of view, he streams on YouTube and Twitch with the tagline of Blazing Fast TV. Go check out that 5 machine's point of view, because I know every race Dakota has something wild happen in front of him, or it's just him having issues, and his point of view shots are always great. I know also for Simon Garcia, he has his own points of view. I know, Richard, yourself, you've had some streaming moments of getting to watch your point of view on track. What is it like trying to be an entertainer while also trying to be so quick out on track?
Oh, it's kind of difficult when you gotta. Oh, Nick Crawford had a little bit moment there with Ollie Fonseca. They got into each other on the front stretch there, but I mean, it definitely is a challenge, because you're trying to give your viewers, the people that show up on their free time to come and watch you do what you love doing, giving them the attention while also trying to pay attention to the track. Gets a little easier with bigger tracks, but not easy on short tracks. But I mean, I've had my moments that actually we had a race at Chicago Street Course during one of my seasons in the BRB Racing League, and I wrecked out kind of early, and it just so happened that our broadcast team during that league race, their internet died or something, so I decided to have my own little broadcast session since I wasn't racing, and that's kind of how I got started into doing this. And it was a lot of fun, but the POV of watching these drivers is a fantastic thing to do. So being able to have the broadcast up, watching the race as if you were a spectator from the TV stand, but also having other windows up and watching the POV of these drivers is so cool. It kind of, the streaming that these guys do kind of emulates what NASCAR actually does with some of the drivers on YouTube as well with their POV.
It's so much fun. One driver I wish that we could see his hands when he races, that'd be Shane Terrian, who officially is our Whiplash Sim Cam's biggest mover of the race in the first half of tonight's race. He's up 17 positions from where he started, only down at 28th. Again, started off with a penalty, had an end-of-the-line penalty for himself, also didn't qualify, but he was the driver that won this race 2 seasons ago, back in season 8. He had full 11 those laps and won that race. Here tonight, up to 11th in the 9. I mean, looking at his pace, he would run around 7th, 8th position currently, so he's got a couple of more spots with the pace that's under this 9 machine. Watch out, he could be there again. So thankful to all the cameras that we have now coming from Whiplash Sim Cams. Go to Facebook or just Google Whiplash Sim Cam to check out their amazing products that you can purchase today. Richard, I mean, this 9 looks quick. He's up to 11th, and I think Shane got knocked out last week. Cody got knocked out of the playoffs last week. A lot of these drivers that had good pace, that you knew if they had moved on to the round of 11, round of 6, they could have been threats for that championship. They're proving exactly why. It's a good thing they got knocked out in that first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, Shane Terrian definitely could have been a threat later on in these playoffs, but an unfortunate event at Texas took him out of his chance at a trophy. So unfortunate to see, but yeah, I mean, the one driver in the field that does not use the steering wheel pedal setup that everybody else does, he has a controller. So I mean, it'd be really interesting to see if he did dip his toes into the streaming world. I mean, a lot of sim racers out there, they have cameras that show their feet work. They have cameras that show their handwork on the steering wheel. It would be really interesting to see him have a camera on his controller on iRacing. I feel a lot of people would tune in and be like, what in the world am I watching? iRacing on a controller. But he does it. He makes it work, and he is fast every single week while using his controller while racing here on iRacing.
Shane's here again, still on the march ahead of him. Getting to see some battling between Tom Senchek and Ryan Kelly. Tom Senchek, 26, having one of his better runs as we're closing into the halfway of tonight's race. I mean, what a run from Senchek, who, I mean, a lot these last few seasons, I would say. We're back in season 4, 5, 6. Tom Senchek was a threat to go for wins. A lot of our bigger tracks that we went to. The last 3 seasons, though, it has been a rough time for this 26. The luck just hasn't been there. He's caught up in a lot of wrecks But here tonight, I mean, running in 8th, I gotta say, this might be Sinchek's one of his best runs of the season. It's great to see this 26 always running well.
Yeah, good to see him back up front, doing well here tonight. And I mean, besides the luck that he's had, whether good or bad, I mean, the competition has gotten a lot stiffer also in this league. A lot more better drivers now throughout the league, like Gavin Rogers coming in and just being a phenom against these guys. So I mean, it's a little bit of bad luck and just a little bit of extra competition that Tom has got to deal with. But having a heck of a run tonight as he's making the pass on Cody Reed there for 7th place.
Yeah, Tom Sinchek entering tonight, having one top 5. That was back at Nashville. We were finished at 3rd. And then he also finished in the top 10, a total of 2 times this season. Trying to continue on with his great run with another pass. That's on Cody Reed that he's going for. More drivers have entered into pit row. That's going to be Ben Kinney, who has called it a night for himself. Officially, Sam Garcia as well has pulled it. We talked about how he had pulled it into pit road. He has now left the session. So the amount of drivers that are out on track, it is dwindling. This second half of this race going to be critical. Make sure you continue to move forward if you're in the playoffs, because every point can be so crucial, and that's what this battle for the 5th means so much. Cedric Hunter, also you've got the likes of John Forbes, both drivers wanting every point for themselves. But for Cedric Hunter, who entered tonight tied with Nick Crawford last in points entering this round, I would say this position means a little bit more for that Hello Kitty machine.
Oh yeah, it definitely means a ton for the Hello Kitty machine of Cedric Hunter. I mean, when you're sitting kind of near the back there on the cut line, sitting tied for 11th place, basically. Every position matters, and he's having the really strong run tonight, running up here in 5th. And I still feel like he's got some pace. It looks like he's starting to catch Gavin Rogers, who's kind of fallen off from the 2nd position up earlier. He's back down to 4th, so that was definitely a difference in tire saving. And Cedric Hunter, he definitely knows how to do it. And I know Gavin Rogers has been trying to learn from Cedric and Zach Hall and how they do it, and they're trying to teach him as well. So Cedric Hunter, again, doing a great job saving his tires and make his way up through the field slowly but steady.
For is aggressively sending it onto the apron and trying to see if maybe the more aggressive entry would help with the overall pace of a lap. It looks like it's going to hurt off the exit of the corner. Right, and then second currently is Vincent Sora, who, again, every season, the 51 is a driver that we know is hunting for another championship. 2-time WSSR Cup Series champion, winner of season 4 and 5, as he's trying to get back on top. As the last few seasons have been a lot of finishing 2nd, finishing 3rd, watching the competition, besting this 51 here tonight, though. He only one driver ahead of him, and luckily it's a part-timer. Said Noel up almost 3 seconds over Vincent Sora, who runs in 2nd place.
Yeah, Seth has came in and he has definitely turned these front runners upside down with his speed, because it's not just speed, but he's able to maintain those tires as well, extending that lead to just under 3 seconds over Vinny. I mean, he'd be a huge threat to this playoff window if he was a full-time driver. And who knows, maybe next season he'll return and be the full-time driver, as Gavin Rogers has a little bit of a slip up there, had a little bit of a fishtail, got a little loose coming out of the turn, but kept it out of the wall and kept it straight. And he's got Cedric Hunter kind of chasing him down right there on his bumper, really close.
We're closing in each and every lap. Our first official green flag pit stop has completed. That's going to be Ollie Fonseca, who is running back in 22nd position, taking 4 tires in fuel and back out on track. And for the rest of the field, they're going to be in that question mark zone of how far do you want to push these tires in fuel? A lot of them, I believe, can stretch it out to lap 100. I think that might be the zone you're looking for. Could be lap 90, from 90 to 95. A lot of the drivers going to have to make that call of the competition around me. What type of a gap do I want? Do I want to be chasing drivers, or do I want to be the one building the gap and trying to hold everyone back, as Cody Reed is trying to do the holding back of drivers outside the top 10, runs 11. James Scioli, Ken Campbell, Zach Hall, all wanting to get by this 25, who has just lost all grip and is floundering to stay afloat at this moment for the past about 15 laps or so.
Yeah, I mean, even with Cody Reed, who is struggling right now to control that car, I mean, his tires are definitely a lot worse than those behind him, but even with that happening, those cars are still struggling to get around him just because in the turns they might be able to get the speed, but once they get down the straightaway, it seems like it just kind of levels out. But Scioli, the first driver of this group of drivers to get around him, Cody Reed is ducking low. He's going to let the other two get around him as well. Looks like he's coming into the pits for service.
I believe so, and I'm not surprised by that. With all the drivers getting around him and challenging, might as well just take the service instead of losing more time. Come into pit road, tires, fuel, and see where you will be placed once the pit cycle completely cycles through, as Cody will be the second official driver going with his pit stop here tonight. Rest of the field still on top of one another in the middle of the pack. The battling happening for 8th on back. They're still within 2 to 3 tenths. Side-by-side action is going on for 11th place. James Scioli being passed by Ken Campbell, as Campbell currently runs 25th, 18 laps down. But even with the Enola Damage repair, Ken Campbell is looking pretty quick, even though he's got a tire advantage. It's great to see, like we said before, still sticking it out, even though he's really racing for nothing except for just track time and to see who else will be knocked out of this race.
Yeah, it being him teaming up with, getting partnered with Team Conti over there with that Sim Garage shop, he's definitely increased his speed, increased his competitiveness. And I talked to him a little bit about Team Conti and, you know, how beneficial it's been for him. And he says it's a great group of guys over there. You got a question and a whole bunch of people will jump in and start helping you out and giving you answers for whatever questions you have. And they've been able to teach him the different nuances of these cars because, believe it or not, when these cars get lower on fuel, that actually affects how the car handles because the car does get a little lighter in the rear end. So it affects how that rear end grips up. So he's really used that information and has showed what it has done for him so far. And yeah, getting back out here, getting some more track time and more laps is just helping him for the future.
I think that finding the right team that can give you the right information is so critical in iRacing. There's so many communities out there that people can partner up with, and then in leagues, grouping up with the right team, the knowledge that you can grow it with is so impactful. Seeing drivers that maybe one season are being a wreck fest, and then 2 seasons later they group up with the right guys, they're hunting for wins. It's crazy to see how much growth you can get from the right knowledge from the right drivers, and Ken Campbell proving that as he continues to stick out there on track. Seth Noel going to be still out there on course, but the waiting game of when do you come into pit road? I mean, Richard, if you're one of these drivers out on track, you're about to be coming up to 50 laps on these tires, about 48 laps of green flag stint racing. Are you thinking about just splitting this run in half and trying to get to lap 95, 90, or would you like to push it out further and have a shorter duration on that second half of this race?
Knowing these drivers, I think they know when the tires plateau and kind of even out. I think that the split in half strategy is going to be the strategy to go for. They're going to take advantage of that. They're trying to save their tires now to give them a little bit of advantage. So right now, I think these drivers are going to be looking at splitting the stage in half versus trying to push it as far as they can. I think that would actually probably be detrimental to any of their run unless they're just hoping for a caution. If they're hoping for a caution, it can play into their advantage, but splitting in half is probably the smart way to go.
As the drivers continue to race it out here tonight, we inch closer and closer to pit stops right around the corner. But for us up at the booth, these drivers continue to race on. For us, though, we will be stepping away for a commercial break. Green flag pit stops right around the corner. You do not want to miss out for them, as tonight you are watching the WSSR Cup Series playoffs, round 11, race number 2 in New Hampshire. We will be back right after this with more racing action. that's exactly why we stay side by side. Drew Jewell, what a save for the 88 as they were ping-ponging all around. 3 wide, 2 wide, and drivers are in the middle of the pit cycle, and some need to go to pit road immediately. As we want to say thank you to joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Richard Wolfsfer. Running productions is Robert Moyer Jr. We also want to say thank you to our primary sponsors for the WSSR, being Trophy Smack. Thank you so much to Trophy Smack. If you're looking for custom or pre-made trophies, go on over to TrophySmack.com and go check out their wide ranges from trophies, belts, rings, and more at TrophySmack.com. Remember to use promo code WSSR Smack for 10% off. Also, thank you to GTR Simulators. Go on over to GTRsimulators.com and check out their wide range of professional grade sim rigs that you can have at home. Remember to use the promo code WSSR for 10% off. Again, that's GTRsimulators.com. And one of the newest sponsors with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you to Whiplash Sim Cams. Whiplash Sim Cams are giving you the camera packages that we've seen here today and the last few weeks. It's been a blast to see the different ways that we can have coverage with your Whiplash Sim Cams. And if you want to go check them out, go Google Whiplash Sim Cams today. Again, those are our 3 primary sponsors. Thank you so much for being a part of the WSSR Cup Series and with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting as we continue to stay green. Underway is pit stops, and Richard, it's been a lot of ups and downs. Still, Seth Noel is yet to go to pit road, but second place runner Vincent Sora has just entered to get his tires now.
Yeah, the top 7, it's like the top 9, top 10 actually are still waiting to go into pit road, so they still haven't gotten out, but apparently Cedric Hunter during pit stops got a black flag. That is not good for a driver that was running in the top 5, chasing the win also. So that's going to put a hamper on his run to try and win this race to advance to the next round of playoffs.
Caught speeding was the 33 as these drivers have to slow down to 45 miles per hour. Cedric was too fast once he crossed the line, so that is a 40-second hold. And he will now be setting at least 1 lap down once this pit cycle ends. And if Cedric hits every mark, he might be able to find his way with a top 20 finish, but a top 10 might be out the window as Brandon Colley finally hits pit road. The 78, I want to give kudos to this, was caught up in that incident, ran into Douglas Newbigging, who let the car roll back down coming to our stage break. That incident happened, took damage, didn't come into pit road to get the damage repaired, stayed out there on the same tires and fuel. This is his first pit stop of the day, Richard. And what a run for a driver that's dealing with a lot of that right front damage.
That is impressive work for Brandon Colley. He drove 102 laps on those tires with the damage also. A phenomenal run by him to try and salvage something out of this run, and to hope he doesn't get a black flag from there. It looked like he might have been a little high coming out of the pits, but looks like he might be a little safe out there. But a great run from Brandon Colley after having that being involved in that incident with Douglas Newbigging.
Stellar run for the drivers that are still out there on track and still waiting on when they're going to make their pit stop. The battle for the lead is underway. 3 drivers underneath a blanket and all trying to have a good run. You've got Drew Jewell trying to have a good run. Then you also have Shane Tarian, who is trying to recover after starting off tonight in last place with the end of the line penalty. This 9's trying to just prove to himself that he led a lap here tonight, while James Scioli in the 77, he's just hoping for a caution to fly, because then it would reset, put the 77 back in a winning potential chance. Again, Scioli will be missing next week's race at Las Vegas. He needs a good points day, and with missing out on big stage bonus points, he needs to finish inside of our top 10, if not top 5, if not top 3 at the end of this race for that 77.
Yeah, he needs every point he can possibly get tonight, as Drew Jewell has a big moment out of 4 as he gets a little loose all the way to the inside wall. Looks like he's able to keep going, though, and that will put Shane Tarian, our controller driver, in the lead of that number 9 Monster Energy Ford Mustang.
Shane Tarian, winner of this race all the way back in Season 8, but yet to hit pit road. We're still waiting on quite a few drivers to still make their final pit stop of the day. Our top 7 at least need to make a stop before this race is over. Tarian leading the charge. Also, you know, it was Drew Jewell. we've seen him during our commercial break. He was slipping and sliding all around during that commercial break. He still is out there on track. I'm shocked by that because I thought that 88 would have pitted at least 10, if not 15 laps ago.
Yeah, Drew is definitely fighting a very loose car. Those back tires are definitely not happy with him. They are worn down quite a bit. The tires are really hot, which is why you see him slipping and sliding everywhere. But he's still trying to hold on. He might be trying to pit with James Scioli, so he has a teammate to drive around with when they come out. But it's really interesting that he stayed out this long with how loose that car is feeling for him.
Seeing Nick Crawford, as well as Jared Talmadge, as well as seeing the likes of the 12 machine of Andrew Medlin. Jared Talmadge on some old set of tires as well, as the last time that he came into pit road back at lap 97, it was to check out some damage. It wasn't even for tires. He has just been hoping for the best as this 27 SpongeBob machine runs 7th, runs around some of his competition. I gotta say, this is highly impressive by Talmadge on the fact that he is still competing with some other drivers that have fresher tires than him, even though it's over 70 lap old tires for Nick Crawford and over 100 lap old tires going to this 27 that runs 6th and 7th, still battling for position on track.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. And like I talked about earlier, is these tires do kind of hit a plateau area where once the tires wear down past a certain point, I mean, the tires can wear out more, but it seems like the speeds just don't fall off as much just because you're going slow enough that that car can still turn without any issues. So, and Jared Talmadge is really showing the proof of that right there as he's passing cars with, slightly newer tires than him, but another driver having a phenomenal run on extremely old tires. And I'm starting to wonder when these drivers in the top 6 actually, as Seth Noel is making his moves up to the front, now in 7th place, getting ready to pass Jarrett Talmadge to take the 5th place.
Squeeze and hope for the best. Fresher tires for the 57. He'll get by all the crew and will move up into 5th place. Zach Hall goes into pit road to get service done. Seth Noel going to be saying beep, beep, out of my way, as he continues to charge and prove that this race is all his if we stay clean and green to the end of this thing, as no one has really been able to really touch the 57 since he got the lead. But still waiting on the rest of this competition. Shane Terrian, Scioli, Drew Jua, Larry Yingling. If you're this top 4, I mean, at this point, it feels like you have to just stay out as long as you can. Even if you feel like maybe your tires aren't going to be there to the very end, you might not have the fuel that can make it to the end, but you're banking on that late caution that might help you out later in this run if you can salvage something after that staying out this late.
Yeah, their bet is basically made. Their choice is to stay out, it seems, until they run out of fuel for the most part. They're hoping for a late caution. That's the only thing that can save this run for these drivers. They've been out so long. And with Seth Noel basically knocking on their bumper there and catching up to him, I mean, that's the only thing they're banking on. It's the only thing that makes sense at this point is they're hoping for a late race caution to get these guys back into contention, because I guarantee you, if that caution comes out, every car in this field is coming down to get new tires.
Absolutely. I mean, there might be a few drivers that take the risk of the gamble to stay out. It matters on how late the caution comes out, but if the caution comes out within now and the next, I would say 20 to 30 laps, these drivers all know it is come into pit road, get the service done. Maybe a handful could stay out for a risky chance. But Shane Terry and James Scioli still up front, leading the way. Seth Noel is the driver we're expecting to turn into the leader once all the pit stops are completed, as Jared Talmadge finally makes his call into pit road, as he was out there for 103 laps of fuel. As that's so impressive to see these drivers go that long, trust their fuel, trust their tires. And for the 27, he was out there for even longer on a set of tires, as that last pit stop he did not get service done. As Brian Noel in the 00, he runs 23rd, might be 7 laps down, but still puttering along, running in 23rd position, and he's still fighting to just stay attached and compete with the drivers that are all competing for their best finishes of the day, as the 00 trying to stay high and out of the way, but also trying to compete with at least some decent speed as he fights with Kevin Rogers on the outside of the exit turn 2.
Yeah, Brian Noel is just about 2 or 3 lanes up above Gavin, giving him all space. He's been out on the track for 80, 81 laps on those tires, so he is definitely fighting that car, trying to keep it controlled. But 7 laps down, 8 laps down, he's just kind of riding around, hoping to just keep the car clean and get some lap times in as well. So doing a good job getting out of the way of the drivers that are actually racing for position. And back to Drew Drua, still seems to be having a little bit of issues. He got on the wall a little bit there out of 2.
It's also passed by Seth Noel, who's going to be taking that second place position away from James Scioli, and now going to be taking the lead off the exit of 4, almost spinning out Shane Terrian as Terrian puts the block. Now these two drivers had issues all the way back at Darlington. Terrian was wrecked and moved out of the way on lap 1, and right there almost found himself getting knocked out again by the 57. Terrian, these woes with Noel are starting to mount up as just he doesn't have the tires to fight back with that battle. But I mean, that has got to be frustrating to know that you're almost taken out twice this season by the part-time driver.
I mean, yeah, I understand that, but at the same time, Shane knows he's on extremely old tires compared to him. That block, I feel, was a little unnecessary. When you've got this much of the race still kind of left, there's no way that block is going to last more than another turn. So, I mean, he almost sacrificed his entire race to block a car on fresh tires. I don't think that was a smart move, in my opinion.
As they continue to race on, as Zach Hull now going to be trying to find a way to get around his former teammate with Zach Hull a few seasons back, as they were the Carolina Reapers back in the day. It's the one with fresher tires able to get by Zach Hull, and now they're running second, third place position drivers. I mean, you still have to stay out there. Like we said before, they've made their bed. They got to lay in it and just wait for a caution to come out, but also hope that you're not that driver that brings out the caution. Other groups that are very close to one another, the battling going on for currently 10th place. It's going to be seeing Nick Crawford as well as Gavin Rogers and a few other drivers very close to one another on track. And it's really Gavin Rogers with the freshest tires just trying to mount his way forward in that 10th place position. Seeing the likes of the 8th of Brian McCann, Ryan Kelly, and the spots the 75 is trying to take back.
Yeah, 75 and Gavin Rogers sitting in the 10th, but basically sitting in 6th because, again, there's 4 cars in front of him that haven't pit yet. So, I mean, he's basically battling for the 6th position or further. So he's trying to make his way up through the field as well on a little bit newer tires, trying to save him too, to try and make a last couple lap surge. So we'll see what he can do. But he's still got a huge hill to climb in front of him to get up to the top 5.
Two of the drivers again. This is that scary moment of the race. We've got drivers on fresh tires, those on extremely old. Drivers with the fresh tires, they have to be patient, be methodical with these passes. Yes, you might feel like you're losing time by having to be patient and to find ways to get around some of these slower drivers, but it's better to be safe than sorry as the groups are trying to find a way to get around Terry and Scioli, Drew Jua. Those 3 drivers still out on track. Same also for Nick Crawford, who still linger out there on course. Nick Crawford's probably the most shocking one, Richard, as we are coming up to 25 laps to go in this race. He runs 12th and is just losing so much ground. I mean, the only thing I could think of is maybe they feel like they could stretch the fuel out to make it to the end of this race.
I mean, that could be a possibility. I don't see that being the case, though. That's still a lot of racing. 27 laps of racing left, and they've already been out on the track for 88. So, I mean, we saw drivers coming in with 103 laps on track, and that was more than likely probably for fuel more so than tires. But, I mean, he keeps falling back, but it's just like the other drivers also. They've made their bed. They're riding this thing out until they're empty on fuel and just hoping that one driver makes a mistake and brings out that yellow flag to bunch the field back up.
Us promise, hope for the best. There's a lot of action, though, back in 3rd place. Reason why is James Scioli has got a lot of drivers on his rear bumper. He's got the position battle between Vincent Soren himself. A driver that's a lap down trying to get a little bit of spicy action up front. That's Brandon Colley. And then Chris Ditz also in the mix. Where can you place yourself to go for some of these passes? Because currently, Vincent Sora able to get by Scioli, now tries to get by Terrian, and it's just that crazy closing rate speed that we're seeing off the exit of the corner. That's where really we're seeing the difference, it looks like, Richard, of how much quicker you can get on the throttle with fresh tires compared to old.
Yeah, and that's just like you said, fresh tires versus old. Those back tires do not grip with the old tires, so they can't get on the gas like the fresh tire drivers are. And if you're on old tires and you get on the gas quick, that's what you're seeing, like the issues with Giorgio, where they get a little loose and they kind of fishtail a little. They just get loose and spin out. So you can't get in the gas when you got old tires like the newer guys are, being able to get that run off the turns.
So having little battles between one another as Brandon Colley and Chris Stitz, who are still around that 9 machine of Shane Terry, and they're battling back for 18th place. But Vincent Sora, the battle for the lead, looks a little bit more demoralizing when you know that you stayed out. I mean, you pitted a lap sooner than that 57, hoping to get a slight advantage, but instead you lost more ground. Couldn't get through traffic as quickly as the 57 did. And for Vincent Sora, the gap is now over 8 seconds as we continue to stay clean and green. Battle for third, Tarian stays high. He lets the 11 just dive it down to the apron. And John Forbes saw what Douglas Newbegin was doing earlier, and he's really taken that aggressive entry into these corners, and it made it work so far. As Drew Jua, fresh rubber, he's now trying to make his march forward to see if he can get back onto the lead lap, as you're seeing the action between Gavin Rogers and the 88. As Scioli continues to flirt going backwards, and the question is, for how much longer is he willing to stay out there? Because you have to just, just take the loss and make the pit stop at this point, because I don't know if we're going to be seeing a caution anytime soon, but I might be jinxing it with we're seeing some drivers going back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a caution coming out, but I mean, I say that and watch one will come out as I'm talking, but almost happened there. Shane Tarian got a little loose and almost got into Gavin, but Gavin able to still get around him. Shane Tarian, he's got to decide when he wants to come in. I mean, at this point, yeah, you just have to run that gas tank to E and just come in when you're sputtering almost, but yeah, he's just hoping for that caution to come out. It's just not going his way.
Oh boy, you know who might bring out a caution? I'm looking at 11th place runner. That's Larry Yingling. Yingling has been out of control, wicked loose, and almost collected Cody Reed multiple times. He's part of those drivers that have yet to come into pit road on this set of tires for 95 laps. And when Yingling was trying to fend for a position, I thought for sure he was taking Cody with them the lap prior. He still runs out there on track. Luckily, he's kind of in no man's land. There's no one really in front of him close enough for a battle or behind, so he can resettle, save these tires as he continues to run on. But that was a big scare the couple of laps prior to us hopping on board with this 67. But you can tell just the handling is so gone for a lot of these drivers that continue to just flirt with disaster with less than 20 laps to go.
Yeah, they're on the edge of complete out of control, and I know that's how the drivers want to drive, but these tires are just not allowing them to have any speed to compete right now. So it is a struggle to fight what this car is doing, and you can see it pretty much every turn exit. You watch Larry Yingling right here. His car gets just a little loose and squirrely as he comes out of the turn, so he's not able to get the power down. But I mean, these guys are doing.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. The caution came out. This is a great savior for those drivers that have been out for 95 plus laps.
And it was a solo spin all on his own of Nick Crawford as he was drifting through 3 and 4. And luckily no one else involved, but it was just a simple gassing it up too soon in the center of the corner. Might have money shifted it with the way that thing just kicked around for him. But he goes through 1 and 2, just gingerly making his way around. You can see how those tires are already cooked, and he's just been, like we said, flirting with disaster for the last 30 laps or so. But Richard, I mean, right here, goes into 3. It looks fine and normal, but then in the middle of the corner, it just snaps. There's no way to save it.
Yeah, I don't think that was a money shift. I had experienced that actually last night doing some money shifts, going from 4th to 2nd. And that was more of a slow slide for the most part comparatively. But yeah, I think that's just the product of extremely old tires and just gassing it in a little bit too much in the middle of the turn, bringing out the caution at the end of this race. But there's going to be a lot of drivers that had later pits. They're going to stay out. But for the most part, the majority of the field coming in for fresh rubber. And I mean, you'll have drivers like Cedric Hunter coming up to the front now.
Said Noel gonna be sliding through his box. He had to back up. This is gonna give an opportunity. If someone else gets a cleaner stop, they might be able to steal this away from the 57. There goes Vincent Sora. He'll take the top spot. Save for John Forbes, our leader with over an 8-second lead over Vincent Sora. Falls to third.
Vincent Sora, John Forbes, 2 tire stops as well. They were in their pit box for 5 seconds less than Seth Noel and Gavin Rogers. So some strategy calls coming out for these drivers, taking 2 tires only for the rest of this 17 laps of this race.
And 2 tires does work here at New Hampshire. We've seen it succeed in the past. And with us going to be having around 15 laps to go, that's a perfect range to make a 2-tire stop, get the track position, which critically is the most important thing here for this late charge. And then just trying to hold back the 57 as much as you can. I mean, Richard, this is where the fun begins. Who knows what this 57's willing to do to get into victory lane after being ahead by so much, and victory was in his hands until they're late.
Yeah, victory was in his grasp. A huge 8-second lead down to a restart 2 wide. And he's not leading it. Vincent Sora, John Forbes up front will lead this field to what could potentially be the last restart of the race, as long as these drivers keep it clean. But 15 laps to go, I do not see that happening here at this track.
It's going to be tough. A few drivers taking the wave around. It's going to be Dakota Moniz in the 5, the 27, Jared Tolich, Drew Jewett, Brandon Colley, Chris Ditz, Cedric Hunter, and Joshua Kanata. They're banking on a quick yellow so that they can get some tires and service and get back into a racing mix. Up front, though, top 2 took 2 tires. Thompson checked back in 8th, also took 2 tires. It's time for 15 laps to go here at New Hampshire, the first round of the round of 11, and it's going to be Vincent Sora with a good charge on the inside. Battle for second is going to be seeing the 2 tires of John Forbes trying to hold back Seth Noel, but Noel with the great run, he keeps the nose ahead for second place as they go down into turn number 3.
Noel will take second place from John Forbes, as Gavin Rogers is now looking on the inside of John Forbes Jr. Also, he could potentially try to get a run, but John Forbes a better line out of the turn. And but there's going to wreck a Scioli with Brian McCann on the front stretch across the line. Another yellow for this race.
Another yellow, another chance, but Scioli gets the worst of it. Spun around as he was snapping loose out of turn number 4, as he was doing everything in his power to get these positions, but the handling went away, and just there were too many cars around him trying to save it and collect it, as this was off the exit of turn number 4. But here's the battle for second. Initially, it was Brian Noel trying to go for that second place position. He does get ahead, but here's the 77. I mean, Richard, he does everything in his power to just get these positions because he needs a good finishing position here tonight, because he will be missing out on next week. But too much gas, too much throttle on cold tires, and away it goes.
Yeah, that's just getting the gas a little bit too soon with not the right angle, and that's the product of what, you know, these cold tires do. Cold tires are like driving on ice for these cars sometimes. So you know, a must-win situation almost for Scioli, but he needed a way stronger run, and this is not what he wanted to see. And he was trying to be really aggressive, getting down on that apron to make some moves early, and just an unfortunate exit out of 4 almost ruins his race.
Here it's going to be Brian McCann's point of view for the 8 machine, as he was having a pretty decent run trying to recover for this evening, as ripping the top, just trying to stay in his own lane. The 77 just wiggle slides and a little bit of contact, the both of them into the outside wall. And for James Scioli, he's in pit road. He's got some pretty major damage that he's getting repaired. Currently 1 lap down for the 77, and I think that might be the call, the night for James Scioli for a chance to run for a championship in this campaign, that rookie campaign that the 77 really was looking like had a chance to go for a championship. And this is going to leave things really wide open for the likes of Vincent Sora, Gavin Rogers, and co. on who could be the next driver in line to take that 6th place position in the championship round after next week.
Yeah, James Scioli 10 points behind Gavin Rogers in 2nd place in points right now. Gavin's still leading in points, but that is not going to be the situation that he wanted to see. He wanted to try to get as many points as he possibly could this week, because like we said, he will not make next week's race. So this pretty much has signed his check that he will be eliminated for the final round of playoffs in Season 10.
As James Galloway with frustration when speeding down pit road to get into his box to get repairs done. So he also has a black flag on top of getting repairs done, and now currently 2 laps down, yet to leave pit road. Scioli is done for the evening. Up front though, let's ramp it back up. Vincent Sora, Seth Noel, John Forbes, Gavin Rogers, top 4. Who do you think is in the prime position right here, Richard, as we're on the backstretch and about to get going?
I honestly think it's going to be Vincent Sora is going to be in the prime position. If Seth Noel can get a good launch, though, and follow Vincent Sora on the outside, then Seth Noel will have the better run out of the turn. But Vincent Sora, we've been seeing the leader who is in control of these restarts has just launches out of a cannon every single restart. So I think the race is really going to be for that second position. John Forbes could get a good restart here as they get ready as the pace car dives in the pit road.
Pace car into pit road. 11 to go for the start of round 11, and it's going to be your top 4. They're the ones that are able to take off. John Forbes and Sora able to stay in line. Seth Noel going to be on the outside. Gavin Rogers puts the pressure for that 3rd place position. Everyone else, the apron is calling for some. Forbes, Noel, almost contacted. Forbes gets to hold on. Big slide off the exit of turn 2. He'll slide back down. The fight for second isn't over, but Vincent Sora's driving away. Trouble though behind. I believe that's going to be Dakota Moniz. Cedric Connor having issues. We stay green as the field. Big slide further on back. Oh no, the big one. They're all wrecking. Oh my goodness. Oh no, it's a gridlock on the front stretch.
A huge gridlock on the front stretch started with John Forbes spinning and collecting Seth Noel and drivers with nowhere to go. A few playoff drivers getting involved as well.
Seth Noel, where were the brakes? He just continued to let it scrub around and collect more and more drivers. Few other drivers saying no to the brakes, but it all started in second place where they were fighting back and forth and off the exit of turn 4. I mean, Richard, I thought the caution was going to happen further on back, but instead it was up front. The aggression from the part-timer to those that are racing for a championship, you know everything's on the line. A bad race here could set you up to miss the championship, and instead it's just pandemonium striking all around. As that was the wreck prior that we saw there. That was the caution before.
James Scioli there, but yeah, it's very unfortunate when you're playoff drivers and a part-timer who is here just kind of basically have fun and see what he can do in this league and gets involved with a huge wreck involving quite a few of our playoff drivers. But yeah, just we'll see right here what really happened. Doesn't look like this is the wreck either. This is back with James Scioli again.
Yeah, it's the same one.
But we'll get the replay going once we find it. But yeah, just unfortunate situation to that. That'll put Gavin Rogers going down pit road currently as well to get some repairs done.
As now we're going to get the replay of the pandemonium, and there's the initial start. John Forbes snapping loose. This gives a chance for Gavin Rogers to get back into the mix. They continue to stay side by side through 3 and 4, and John Forbes, aggressive slide job move. Noel's going to gas it up with crossover, dive, and John Forbes snaps loose, gets into Noel, and then it's just pandemonium. Everyone slamming in. And the 57, I don't think I ever saw him touch the brake once after it started rolling. He'll cut it back down and collect the 27. And then it gets worse because he continues to let it drift up and there's more drivers getting poked in.
Yeah, that is, yeah, I never saw the tires lock up at all either. I mean, that wreck started with John Forbes, though, definitely. He gets loose out of 4, then collecting Noel. So that wreck definitely started with John Forbes. Unfortunate, but just not holding your brakes after the wreck has started here. That's just something that's kind of a necessity in these iRacing races.
Seeing live time, it's just wild. With the experience that some of these drivers have, it's crazy to see that you're trying to get cutesy with it in the middle of a wreck like that, but It's exactly what we saw as some innocent drivers that probably shouldn't have been involved in that wreck do, and it resets from second on back who is running in this race. Vincent Sora, I mean, he's got to feel it. It must have been the biggest smile on his face, knowing that the competition that's behind him are drivers that were once battling for 6th and 7th. It's now going to be Vincent Sora, Tom Sinchek, Larry Yingling, Zach Hall is in the top 5. Cody Reed, who was almost upside down, runs 5th. Chris Ditz, Brian McCann, Ryan Kelly, Cedric Hunter, who was 1 lap down before the late green flag run caution came out. He's now inside the top 10. Drew Jua runs 10th, and we're back to green flag action with 5 laps to go here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, that was a huge break for a lot of the drivers that were laps down that stayed out to gain laps back. And John Forbes going aggressive again as he dives back onto the apron, trying to take it 3 wide. John Forbes being really aggressive as he's getting loose again out of the turn.
I mean, he needs every point for himself. He wants to continue to run in charge for a great finish for himself as John Forbes entered into this round 4th in points. He knows he's close to the cutoff line, but all the other drivers are searching and they're spinning and wrecking, and it's everyone from 12th on back. Dakota Moniz is spun around, and we are heading to overtime.
Yeah, the frustration is definitely kicking in, and cautions breed cautions. We have brought the field back together, and the end of the race is near, so everyone is being aggressive and making moves they wouldn't normally make when it's earlier in the race. So it's just a lot of aggression from all the drivers throughout the field, and that's why we're getting these cautions that are basically back-to-back.
And this is going to be the incident coming out of turn number 4. But you can already see they're stacked 4 wide. John Forbes backs out of it. Brandon Colley ships it to the inside. Dakota Moniz seeing a chance of, okay, I'm squeezed. I need a good entry and a good exit if I want to keep this position. Small little tap, wiggle loose, overcorrects right into Joshua Kanata. Nick Crawford able to get around. And luckily no one else gets involved. But that will bring out another late caution to reset us into overtime as the cars are pacing around the circuit and getting ready for this call of who's going to come into pit road, get service done. But Joshua Kanata, another innocent victim moment where going into turn 3 thought, oh, I'm by these drivers, and off the exit I'm involved with their mess.
Yeah, they're 3 wide right there. They are very close, but it just looks like Dakota Moniz doesn't take a wider exit, kind of getting into Brandon Colley, who wasn't giving any inches either. And he just got a little loose and tried to correct it, just overcorrected and turned right into the outside wall.
There is going to be the carnage to the mayhem, and we got 18 drivers that are on the lead lap. We'll see once we are about to go green how many are left, because there are so many drivers having to come into pit road to get more damage repaired for themselves. Gavin Rogers is back into pit road to get repairs done. Kanata, Dakota Moniz still in pit road is Seth Noel. Shane Tarian is getting repairs done for the 9. And Ryan Noel, who has been 7 laps down this whole time, now up to 22nd. And if all these other drivers ahead of him continue to stay in pit road, hey, the 00 might get a top 20 out of this run. Ken Campbell is inside of the top 15 for himself. If we get more caution flags coming out, we go to overtime set number 3. He could be with a chance to be inside of our top 20. So just showing, hey, having some mental fortitude, willing to stay out there on track, it could reward you at the end of the day. But ladies and gentlemen, we have officially entered into overtime. Overtime rules are quite simple. We have a green, white, checkered. We are going to have 2 laps to go when we go green. Once we go green, that first lap, if we have a caution that comes out in the first lap, we will reset and go into attempt number 2. But if we take that white flag, this race becomes official, and it's all about who can cross the line first to win the race. No caution will be thrown on that white flag, but we have to first take it for it to count. Richard, this is going to be our first attempt. You got a feeling we might need a couple of more? Could this be the final one of the night?
I have a feeling that we might see at least another green-white checkered attempt, but I mean, the drivers have been able to at least make 1 lap, and that, you know, the caution usually happens the lap after, so they might make it to the white flag, but we will see. But I mean, the aggression is just going to go up from here. They know there's only 2 laps left of this race, and they're not going to give anybody any kind of room.
Well, all playoff implications have struck with these late cautions, but it's time to settle the score. Who will have the better start for the round of 11, race 1 of 2 for your season 10? First attempted overtime is underway. It's Vincent Sora, Tom Senchek going to be in line, battling for third place. It's going to be seeing Larry Yingling, Cody Reed, and Cody Reed is ripping the top. They're already spinning behind. It's John Forbes. We go to yellow flag. We're going to overtime attempt number 2.
John Forbes aggressive again, sent it straight down into turn 1 on the apron and could not keep that car under control. Got sideways in the middle of the turn, and that brings us to our second green-white checkered attempt. And I think the aggression was a little bit too much there for John Forbes. He's trying a little too hard, I think.
And John Forbes, I mean, we've seen this aggression be rewarded in the past in multiple different leagues, but I got a feeling the aggression level might have ramped up a little bit too hard on this go, as he was already trying to pass somebody before even going in across the line as he spins out there in front of the field. Luckily, no one else involved, but tires maybe aren't being the friends. The handling isn't the same, and those similar moves that you were able to make back on lap 12 are not going to be made here on lap 152, as we are officially in at overtime attempt number 2. I'm not sure if we had this, but Robert, I don't know if we have the race report of seeing how the race has been so far for tonight, as we do have it currently under our 8th caution of the day, and only 8 cautions, but we had a green flag run where we got to see green flag pit stops being made. It's crazy to think of how chaotic the first part of this race was to the end. The middle was fantastic to watch, Richard. It's just been who can survive now late in this run.
Yeah, that's all it is. The middle of the race was really awesome. Great green flag runs and great green flag pit stops also. And it was just kind of reset just from a single car self spin that grouped everybody back together again. So, I mean, it's definitely created some excitement for the end of this race. It's created some drama with playoff drivers getting involved in a big wreck and getting shuffled all the way to the back. Other drivers who've been running in the back, getting the laps back and making their way back up front, like that of Cedric Hunter. So, I mean, it's created a lot of storylines for this race, getting ready for here in the first race of round 2 of the playoffs.
In Hampshire, we knew this was going to be a chance of chaos to strike. If you think this race is chaotic, get ready for next week, the last race of the round of 11, to see who will be our championship 6 drivers that will fight for the final 2 races to figure out who will hoist the championship for season 10. Las Vegas has always brought out drama, flair, and you don't want to miss action in the WSSR Cup Series, and you will not want to miss it next week. I'll be here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Also, we've got racing action on Monday nights for the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series. Don't want to miss that either. But tonight, this is our second attempt at overtime. Again, similar to first attempt, all we have to do, complete this first lap. We take the white flag, this race is official, and it's all about who can cross the line first to win the race. But if we get a caution, when we go green in this first attempt that we take off and go, we will go to overtime attempt number 3. Rules are slightly different for attempt number 3, but who knows if we need it. Welcome to overtime racing attempt number 2 at New Hampshire. Here we go again. It's Vincent Sora, Tom Senchek, and Vinny is clear once again into turn number 1. The battle for second, though, it's Cody Reed shipping it down to the 26's back bumper.
Cody Reed having a phenomenal race, has taken advantage of these cautions, is now running second place here at New Hampshire. But Tom Senchek closing that gap. He's going to go low, not getting next to him. But Cody Reed still in second. They're getting close and almost 3 wide. They're 3 wide coming out of 4.
Where did he come from? Cedric Hunter is up to 4th, a chance for 3rd place as they're scattering across the line. 3 wide in the middle of the field. White flag is out. Vincent Sora can cakewalk his way to victory lane. The rest of the field, though, who will survive? As it's going to be Hunter. Big slide. Lots of 3-4 positions. He'll get back in line and try to hold everyone else off, as they might try to scatter to see if they survive. But up front, blocking his way, a chance to be a 3-time champion. Vinny, punch your ticket. You're in the championship round. Vinny wins New Hampshire.
And a huge wreck coming across the line, starting with Zach Hall. Oh, a crazy, insane finish there as they cross the finish line. But a great win from Vincent Sora and an even better run from Cody Reed coming in second place.
chaos rains down from that 7th on back position. Top 3, I mean, what a shocker. We knew Vinny was going to be up there in some type of capacity, but Cody Reed, what a charge for himself. And as well, want to give note, 9th place runner. That will be Andrew Medlin. Congratulations. You will be our Whiplash Sim Cam's biggest mover of the race, up 21 spots from where he started. But already going to be an absolute going into next week. Vincent Sora, punch your ticket. It's your chance to be a 3-time champion. Vinny will race for the season 10 championship. Congratulations as 51 on surviving the chaos in those final 30 laps. Also, congratulations to Cody Reed, Thompson Check, as when we come back, it will be the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3, do a breakdown of next week, and we cannot wait to see how it'll all come together. Next week, Las Vegas, you don't want to miss it, but we'll be back right after this for the post-race show. Madness, carnage, but at the end of the day, it's Vincent Sora getting the win. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for your first race of the round of 11. We got only 2 races this round. Las Vegas will be our final destination next week before I figure out our championship 6. We go to Victory Lane because this is the driver that's punched his ticket for a chance to be a 3-time champ. We got Vincent Sora with us in the 51. Vinny, congratulations on this win. Obviously a roller coaster of emotions from 30 laps to go to the end of the race. How are you feeling after this incredible run to get into Victory Lane and be the first driver locked into the championship 6?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really good. It's really cool to have my ticket punched into that final round. This one was not the one that I expected to win. And I got to give credit where it's due. Seth definitely deserved this win tonight. I definitely kind of got lucky there at the end with that yellow and then the 2-tire call and then just whatever else happened. I don't know. I think he got caught up in a wreck. But, yeah, New Hampshire is not one of my good tracks on the service. So I was just going to be really happy with P2. And he was gone all night. So he's definitely got this place figured out. But, yeah, at the end there, like I said, we got that yellow and I took 2 tires. And then he got caught up in a mess, and I knew if I didn't get hit by anybody or make a mistake of my own that I was kind of going to be able to coast there on those late race restarts.
Yeah, Vinny, a fantastic win tonight, and going from basically on the cut line for next week, but being able to win and punch that ticket in. How are you going to attack Las Vegas now? Are you just going to aim to try to get as many points as you can, or are you looking for another win to put on your ticket?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely looking for another win. I was really quick at Las Vegas last time, and I feel like it's always a track where I kind of circle on the calendars whenever I see them. And I think I've had probably 2 or 3 wins at least this season get away from me at the very end, like last week and then Milwaukee a few weeks ago. So tonight was kind of redemption, and for the rest of the season, I'm hoping to just kind of light a fire underneath myself and go chase a few more wins and hopefully another title.
I mean, Vinny, to drag us back to today's race, how difficult was it with the fact that you had to make green flag pit stops, not a regular thing that you see at New Hampshire in most leagues? What was it like making that pit stop and then trying to just survive to the end of the race while trying to run down Seth, who was so far ahead?
Yeah, I mean, the first long green run we had, I stayed within about 2.5 seconds of Seth. And there was a portion of the run where I don't know if he was just kind of equalizing with me or what was going on, but I started to pull on him, and then I think I just kind of got a little overzealous when I saw the ticker changing a little bit, and I burnt my right rear off. And then for the entire rest of that run, I was just dying to get new tires on the car. And then on the last run, I knew that the win wasn't going to be an option, but I was just going to settle for second. And the car didn't feel bad; it just wasn't as good as Seth's. But that lucky yellow really kind of shifted the direction of my night, and I was able to point the car into victory lane.
It was an incredible run to call, Vinny. Congratulations on the win. Enjoy it, and good luck next week on trying to grab another win this round.
Yeah, thank you guys.
As that will be Vincent Sora in the 51. What a charge he got to have here this evening. We go to second place. We get to talk to Cody Reed. What a run he got to have as well for himself. As where did he come from? I gave the tagline to Cedric Hunter for a moment, but you could honestly say that about Cody Reed as well. Cody hit Sam and Richard up in the booth. Wasn't a win, but man, does this feel like one? Second place here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I'm really happy. Like the entire race, like I was running in the top 10. There were a couple parts where I like fell down to like 11th, 12th for a little bit, but for the most part, I'd say my average running position was probably about 9th. So to come home second is really, really awesome, and it's also a little bittersweet because of last week not advancing to this round of the playoffs, because I would have a heck of a start. I got my first stage points of the entire season, believe it or not. I have not gotten a single one, and got a few. I think I finished like 7th or 8th in the stage. And then, finishing second, I'd be in a pretty good spot to move on to the final round, and that would be insane. I'm not even sure where they race next week, but so it kind of sucks that we're not in the playoffs anymore. But like any time I could finish on the podium, that's a good race.
Yeah, Cody, I mean, fantastic run tonight. Second place. I mean, you were originally not going to run a full season until you won Daytona, or run Atlanta to start the season off. And you might not be in the playoffs, but can we expect you to see any more races for the rest of the season to get some more practice and seat time in?
I mean, I'll be racing the rest of them. I don't know if you'll see me up front like this tonight. I know. Let me pull up the schedule real quick. See if there's any good races for me. So let me see. So we have Las Vegas, Dover, and Homestead. I'm gonna be running like 25th. So this is my last interview of the season, but I will be racing those. I believe the plan is for next season to run these next gens again. So I'll probably be running next season. Hoping to maybe get a lucky win here and there. Maybe try to make an actual like playoff effort next season. Try to practice a little bit more than I did this time. Yeah.
I mean, Cody, it was an incredible run to watch. Give us your point of view, though, on some of those late cautions. Now we had the big front stretch wreck. What was it like from your point of view to see yourself almost flipping and then come away and take second here tonight?
Yeah, no, I thought it was done. While I was in the mid-air, my spotter said that I had some wheel damage. And I'm like, oh no, this is over. but it just drove fine. It drove like nothing happened. So I was pretty excited about that, just ready to go and try to get some more positions. I was actually kind of upset at first because I came out of that wreck, even after almost flipping, came out like 3rd or 4th. So it would have been in a really good spot, and I ended up like all the way back in like 8th, I think, because it just kept telling me to let cars by, which I was kind of annoyed by, but it ended up working out. I wouldn't have had anything for Vincent either way. He was just too fast, pulled a second on me in the first lap of the last restart. But yeah, and then there was a one wreck with who was it? It was the 77 Scioli got turned right in front of me, and that was terrifying. Barely avoided that one. And then like with the huge wreck, I was so close to making it through. I was like butt clenched, just foot on the brake, on the gas, steering every which way, almost made it. Just got a little bit of damage, even though it looked like I probably would have had a meatball, but we made it through. We made it work.
You certainly did. Coming away second here tonight. Cody, before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates. It was Ryan, Ollie, and Dakota in the team chat tonight. They were great, kind of trying to pump me up there with the last restarts, telling me to. Ollie wanted me to wreck Vincent, but I didn't want to cause some playoff implications. Maybe we'd like recreate the ISRC Phoenix race with a different sort of brother, but I'd like to thank those guys. I'd like to thank you guys for putting on a great show. I'd like to thank the admins. I'd like to thank my pops for tuning into the race. He was pretty excited that I had a good race. So.
It was awesome to watch, Cody. Well, congratulations on second here tonight. Enjoy it, and good luck next week and for the rest of the playoffs for yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
As that second place finisher of Cody Reed, we're now going to fall down to 3rd place. Get a talking point from a driver who I said he's having one of his better runs of the season and ties with his best finish of the season. We have got Tom Sinchek with us. Tom, it's Sam and Richard up in the booth. 3rd place, but how did you come away with this one? It seemed like there was carnage always around you, but you survived at the end of the day. How are you feeling after this performance?
Feeling pretty good. We had a lot of pace. I feel like we had to come all the way to the back, but we worked our way up, and then a few key incidents with some key drivers kind of helped us solidify a top 5, and then the two tire stop at the end was pretty clutch, kept us up there. So yeah, it feels good. Top 3's great.
Yeah, I noticed you guys had a 2-tire stop to kind of put you up in contention up there, and you had a front row seat to the big one on the front stretch between John Forbes and Seth Noel. You caught huge damage from hitting John Forbes and decided not to go down and get it fixed. How did the car handle with that much damage on the nose?
It felt fine, actually. From the cockpit, it just looked kind of just a little crinkle on the top left, but I mean, there was, 7 laps to go. I don't think I was going to make my way from the back, even with fresh tires and a fixed car. So I was just playing defense there for Vinny as much as I could.
It worked out, finding Vinny into victory lane. Tom, we've got ourselves 3 more races left in the season. Las Vegas, Dover, Homestead. What's your confidence level for these final 3 races, and what is the ultimate goal for yourself to finish out the season?
Definitely to get one of the late Apex guys a championship. I'm not sure if John's in there or not right now, but I know Vinny is because of the race that we just had. So Vinny's insane at Homestead, so we just got to kind of get him. Got to get enough points to get him up there, and we'll see what we can do from there. But yeah, we're pretty much just going to be a team player from here on out and see what we can do for Vince.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you up in the booth with us, Tom. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs. Yeah,
shout out to you guys. Shout out to my team. For a while there, I was kind of hoping for a 1-2-3 finish, but with 7 laps to go, kind of everything happened. But for the most part, I got raced clean. I know there's a couple guys that were angry, but I kind of got to throw a shout out to all those guys that were around me and didn't junk me, because I know there was a few times that they could have. So yeah, I can't wait to watch this one back and see everybody's reactions.
Certainly was a crazy one to call. Congratulations, Tom, on a 3rd place finish. Enjoy this one, and good luck for the rest of the playoffs.
Appreciate it, guys.
as that will be your top 3 here this evening. We get a closer look at what our unofficial results are after tonight, as punching his ticket to the final round and a chance to fight for a championship, Vincent Sora takes the win here tonight. What a charge for himself. Second place goes to Cody Reed in the 25. 26 of Tom Sinchek will take third. Larry Yingling will come away with fourth. Brian McCann fifth. 6 goes the 88 of Drew Jua. Chris Ditt 7th. 8th is Ryan Kelly. Andrew Medlin takes 9th. Jared Talmadge 10th. And you look through the rest of the field. I mean, Richard, it takes a while before you see some of the other top contenders that we're used to talking about instead of our top 5. It's shocking to see how low some of these other drivers are.
Yeah, I mean, you got John Forbes finishing back in 15th. I mean, he was part of the reason for the massive wreck on the front stretch, and he was being really, really aggressive near the end there as well. But you got Gavin Rogers back in 17th, also involved heavily in that massive wreck. Seth Noel, who was leading this basic entire race for the most part, just huge damage on him, finishing back in 21st. The basic shoe-in winner of this race taken out. It's just unfortunate to see, but a huge shout out also to Brian Knoll, Brian Knoll. He stuck out that race and he was able to squeak into the top 20 there because of all the cars that just kept wrecking and getting too much damage to get back out on track. So great run from him from earlier incidents and issues to sticking it out and getting at least 20th position.
Never give up, and it showed for that double zero, and it's been a fun time to watch all these drivers put on such a great show. We also want to say thank you to the sponsors here this evening that are partnering up with the WSSR and with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you to Trophy Smack again. Go on over to trophysmack.com and go check out their wide range of championship belts, rings, trophies, and their wall smack, a metal plate that you put your own custom image on. You can put it on your wall with their wall safe magnet system, or on a stand to put on your desk or shelf. Go check out all the other amazing products they have, from pre-made trophies, belts, rings, and more, to ways that you can customize it to your own liking, like the WSSR is doing for this season. Whoever wins the championship gets their own custom Trophy Smack trophy that they will be able to hoist at home. We also want to say thank you to GTR Simulators. Go on over to gtrsimulators.com and check out their professional grade simulator kits that you can have at home to race on a professional level. Remember to go to gtrsimulators.com and use the promo code WSSR for 10% off. Also, remember to check out their GTA Compact V2 Stake F1 Team Kick Salver kit to have a little bit of feel of the F1 sensations, as the F1 season's just a few weeks away. Why not feel like you're in an F1 car at home? We also want to say thank you to our new camera packages that we have for all the races that we go to. Whiplash Sim Cams. Our Whiplash Sim Cams biggest mover is 9th place finisher of Andrew Medlin of 21 spots. He started back in 30th. Congratulations and thank you to Whiplash Sim Cams for being our newest sponsor and newest camera providers for the rest of this season and moving forward. Overall, gotta say, Richard, this race had everything from green flag racing to chaotic finishes. What a wild event we got to see, and it doesn't stop here. We also have Monday night with ISRC Truck Series, and then we're right back next Wednesday, last race of the round of 11. Who will be the 6 drivers race for a championship? Next week's gonna be just as fun as tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see when the points update tonight to see how close this battle is. I mean, Vincent Sora, he's safe. He's ready to go into the last 2 races of the season at Dover and Homestead. So, I mean, you got 5 other positions that are open, and I guarantee you those points are going to be close. But Las Vegas generally produces some fantastic racing. It's your typical intermediate, but it is a wonderful track for these cars. And we're going to see a lot of action there, and probably not as chaotic as Rex as you saw here at New Hampshire, but it's going to be a wild gambling set race at Las Vegas next week.
It certainly will be a wild one. 11 drivers entered into this round, and we know the destination for 2 of them. One is punched into the next round of the playoffs. That's Vincent Sora with his win here tonight. And sadly, with the way the points lined up after this evening, James Scioli, who will not be showing up for next week's race, he is out of the running. So that means there are 9 drivers, 5 positions left. Next week, Las Vegas is our destination to see who will be a part of the Championship 6 to have a chance to win Season 10. Cannot wait for it. Next week is going to be at Las Vegas. If you can't wait until then, we will see you on Monday night with the ISRC Truck Series. But for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps us out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for spending your Wednesday night with us here at New Hampshire for the WSSR Cup Series. They gave us plenty of action and racing that you're going to have to go back and see a couple of times from a couple of different angles. But for us, we will step away when we come back for our next race. It will be Monday night where we get to see the ISRC Truck Series continue on in the beginning of their season. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a good one, but if you can't, if you want to see more racing action from these drivers from WSSR, next week is the best time for it. We will see you at Las Vegas for who will move on to the final 6. Can't wait for it. We'll see you on Monday, though, for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.